Howdy, y'all. Um, Thanks for taking a minute to listen to this video. I wanted to do a little bit of update of my healing process since I was shot by APD with a less lethal round. For those of you who don't know, I was shot right here in my wrist. It caused tons of nerve damage going into my hands and lots of aching going on in my wrist. Some of the nerve damage has gotten better. My pinky, I can squeeze my pinky and my ring finger. These three fingers, still not super awesome. They're also limited. You can see this side I can close all the way. This side doesn't really want to close all the way. My thumbs, if I force, I can do it. And I'm constantly doing these exercises to try and get that mobility. But the bigger problem is that these three fingers, the nerves are just totally wonky. Spend a great part of the day just kind of having them buzz. And if I put any pressure on them, especially my thumb, it starts to hurt. Physically wise, that's the healing process I'm at now. I'm taking 1,800 milligrams of what's it called, gabapentin, which is a nerve blocker. I can't imagine what these three fingers would be like without that. Physically wise, it's limited some of the things. Many of you know my passion in life is fishing. Definitely has been shelved a whole bunch. It's just too painful. The good news is, according to the doctors, using it won't further damage my hand. It's just painful while I'm using it. So that's what's going on physically. And the other aspect of this, which is something new to me, is dealing with the mental part of all of this. I had a video conference with my counselor today that has been working with me since this all happened. And a couple weeks ago, I took a PTSD test, and today we discussed the results of the PTSD test. And that's really the bigger reason that I'm making this video, is to kind of share some of that, maybe work through some of the stigma of it with y'all, and then also I have an ask for y'all at the end of this. Real quick, when it comes to the PTSD test that I took, there's X amount of questions rated 1 through 5, and then there's a total score. So there's two ways that they score to find out if you have PTSD. The first one is just your overall score. The overall score that is the breaking point for PTSD is 44 points. I have 67 points when I took the test a couple weeks ago. The other way that they do it is they group sections of questions together. I may be wrong about exactly how many are required, but I'm pretty sure I got them all right when I was taking quick notes. For sure, I can tell you the front end of how many in each of those sections that I scored. It's either 4 or 5 that you have to score for it to be counted and ticked, kind of thing. So the first section, I had 4 points out of a required, I believe, 1. The second section, I had 7 out of a required, I believe, 3. And the third section, I had 5 out of a required 2. So both the scales that test reveals if you have PTSD or not. Both of them are not even on the question mark line. They're significantly over, showing that there is PTSD to deal with. So the side effects of that, when I'm dealing with processing through it, is a couple of categories. The first category I'd call fears in my life, things that trigger fear. The first one of them being cop cars or police officers. As you can imagine, I had my back turned when I got shot. I was hundreds of feet away up a hill across 4 lanes of traffic. They shot up at me with my back turned while I'm trying to help someone. So that there's this visceral response when I see an officer or a squad car, and it's fearful. I drive for a living. I deliver equivalent for those who aren't in the area. I work for Favor, which is the equivalent of a Uber Eats type situation. So I'm constantly hitting one place and then delivering to the next place. And in doing so, I'm seeing cops all the time. The area I live and work in, it's really hard to go 1.5 miles without seeing a cop car. I drove Hot Wife a couple weeks ago, and I was telling her about this, and she was like, I don't think it's really like that. And we saw, when driving about a 4 or 5 mile round trip, we saw 4 squad cars. So seeing cop cars, police officers definitely trigger fear. along with unexpected loud noises. I don't know if any of you have heard the sound of these less lethal rounds, but it's a pretty intense sound, and so I'm startled pretty hard when I have an unexpected loud noise. I say unexpected because July 4th really wasn't bad for me because I was expecting it. We watched fireworks as a family, and that was not nearly as intense as a door slamming unexpectedly. Another thing that triggers fear, anxiety in me is seeing protests across the nation that are going down. So I try not to dwell too much into those. And then events that happen in Austin. We lost a community member last week to someone shooting him while he was peacefully protesting. Those kind of things really trigger fear in me. And the next thing that is triggers to me is something that's new in my world, and that's fear. I'm sorry, not fear. It's anger. And anger's a new thing for me to have on the visceral level that I have. This is not who I am. Many of you know that I practice and live joy pretty consciously and pretty hardcore as much as I can. So dealing with this new anger that just eats me, it just covers me. It's just this. I scream profanities at the top of my lungs. And some of the triggers that cause that are most of them are related to something happening multiple times I don't like. So, for instance, hitting 2 red lights in a row, and doing that, sometimes that'll just get me, at the top of my lungs. Getting cut off twice by the same car, a commercial that is playing on one station. There's the specific one that comes to mind. I have a car dealership here in the area, and it's on one channel, and you flip to another channel, and the motherfucker's on there doing it more, and it's just like, dude, stop. The most heartbreaking of the repetitive stuff that I encounter is Mr. my 2-year-old. When he repeats stuff, more, dad, or up, I'm just like, dude, I have to walk away. I walk away a lot these days. The dinner table, 60% of the time, I can't make it through dinner without being triggered to the point where I just want to make it stop. And to make it stop is either a violent action, which is really not who I am, or get up and walk away. And so that's what I get to do with my life now, is try and find ways to avoid this. Another thing, dropping stuff. I don't have the same sensation in my fingers if I pick something up, for instance, a pen. It's really easy for me to drop it because I can't tell the pressure, and it also hurts as soon as my thumb is involved, especially. But like taking my medications, they'll drop, and I'll pick them up and drop them again, and I want to punch a hole in the wall. So these are some of the things that are triggering me on it. Some of the other side effects that I'm dealing with PTSD is I'm crazy sleep deprived. I'm not a big sleeper. I normally sleep 6 hours, but I'm 3, 4, 5 hours at best most of the time nowadays. Waking up in sweat and scared and having bad dreams, and having a hard time going back to sleep. I might fall asleep for an hour and wake up, and I can't go back to sleep until I go to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and sleep for an hour. Something startles me awake. I'm up until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm dealing with a lot on it that is it's hard to deal with and function in life. The good news about PTSD, unlike a lot of mental health issues, is that it's rare that it's a lifelong diagnosis. It tends to get better with time, with counseling, and with avoiding some triggers. And that's what I'm going to ask your all's help with, is helping me to avoid some of these triggers. I don't make a ton of money, but I do want to be able to help supply for my family. But driving is just, my counselor recommended seeing if there was a way that I could avoid that for a couple of weeks. To do that, I've got to make a couple extra bucks. I know that I've leaned hard getting through some of this healing time through this GoFundMe. So I'm going to ask, hopefully for the last time, for some assistance with this. We're going to boost up the total that I'm asking for, another $1,500, $2,000, something like that. So that we can keep a roof over the head for the family, and it can allow me to kind of step back. Another thing that, if anybody's in the position to help me with a job that I can work from home, I'm happy to put my energy out there to earn my way through life. I hate asking for help. I hate asking for your money that you earned. I'm at a place where I've got to ask for help. So that's what this is all about, along with kind of shining some light on mental health issues. I know that during the pandemic that's already ramped up a whole bunch, but I also just want to say, if I've ever been complacent in your mental health issues as a friend, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've spent a lot of time in my life being really well in control of my thoughts, words, and actions, and they're out of my control a little bit for the first time in my life, and it's scary as fuck. But I gotta work through it, gotta figure out how to make it work. So I'm asking, if you can, again, chip in $5. If you can share this, that's just as important. I've tapped out a lot of my community. So if you're part of my community or not, and you can just share it, these $5 donations, they add up. They make a difference, and they have made a difference in my life. So thank you for those too. But secondly, seriously, if there's a position that is a stay-at-home position that you're aware of, I would love to hear about it, and I'm happy to earn my way through this world. So I think taking 12 minutes of your time, I appreciate you all taking the time, and bless you all. Thank you so very much.